Hi, it's Leo from Made by Marley. I'm a furniture artist, and do you want to make something magical, mystical, whimsical, all of the culls? Follow on, watch what I've done with our new Fate and Fortune stamp. Okay, do you remember the grey sort of cabinet that I got at the charity shop? I brought it home and I've done shades of Florence, Giverny and Duck Egg Blue, and I've just jumbled them all together. I was trying to get the appearance up here of sort of cloudiness, but I'm going to come back and do all of that. I put more Florence predominantly in the middle here. Now, today I am going to be using the Fate and Fortune stamp, and this is one sheet of the Fate and Fortune stamp, and it's got the fortune tale in hand. It's got the sun, some stars. This shape here is beautiful on a repeat, if you repeat it. Some more florals, they all see an eye, and on the other sheet it has the skeleton, this square with the eye in the middle, a skeleton head, and it's good for steampunk, and it will work really well with anything sort of mystical, magical, and it teams really well with the carnival stamp as well, so it's pretty good for that. So those two kind of work in conjunction. Now there's a big one here, which is this one here, which is an actual tarot card. This is something that Jamie designed herself, with a rabbit and everything, like an old vintage tarot card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it. I was going to stamp it with Stays On, but I'm going to stamp it with Tim Holtz, and this is Scotch Timber, until I can get some Stays On, which I will order before we get any further, hopefully. So tonight I'm in Jamie's kitchen. We are babysitting. The kids are obviously in bed.
Yeah, making use of the time.
Yeah. I look a mess, so that's why I'm not really turning around. Right. I know this doesn't all fit on, but I want the bottom on more than I want the top to make it look like it's part of the sort of tarot card. It looks kind of like the tarot card. So let's start by getting it all around the edges. You can't see me, but I'm gritting my teeth going. Just want to make sure I've got it all. And now I'm going to be painting this in. I'm predominantly going to be putting all my stamps in and then painting them in. And I'm hoping that by using the distress ink, it'll kind of work like a sort of watercolour. Hopefully. Right. Okay. So that's going to go on there like that. And let's just keep everything on our mat. Let's have a look at what I want to use next on this. I think I might, I might use or I could use that flower. I think I'll use this one first. I'm jumping about here, but this is my brain working while it's on camera, so right, so let's see how far that goes out. I really wish it wasn't. Do that, I couldn't. Doesn't leave me much space. Yeah, I'm going to do the eyes at the bottom and the top. Yeah, and then I'm going to get the flower around the edges. So let's just see how that plays out. I'm stamping on this because I don't want to stamp on Jamie's new floor. I think she'd stamp on me. As I said, I'm just kind of feeling my way around this project, actually. How's that going to go along? Yeah, like this. I mean, I think this is going to have a lot of colour and pattern on it. It's just that right now it looks very plain. But we will get there. So I think you can see that this is going to go over here like this. Marty, I didn't measure it out. I don't think you're surprised, are you?
No.
No. I don't think you would be. I'm going to put this eye. I wonder if I could keep going. Oh, no, I have to do the eye the wrong way. Oh, that's good it didn't stamp right. See? Grateful for small mercies. Try that again. There we go. See, sometimes things are not such a big deal. Love you, Marty.
No.
Yeah. You're very quiet. I think we're just... It's actually only 5 days since we moved. And so, although you're watching this at the end of the month, it's actually... So, we're still kind of...
in the thick of it.
We're still trying to kind of get ahead of the game and get everything done for the release on time and things so that we can do the social media marketing, etc. I just want to cut that little edge off there because it's stopping it going right to the top, and I'd like it to. When you come to here when you're stamping, don't worry too much about it. Just don't put a lot of pressure on it. But it's, I never think it's the end of the world if it's kind of you go over it. I mean, I know some people do, but here. I know this is a little bit boring right now, but I'm going to put the flowers around it. I'm going to stop doing this one just now, just so you see something different happening. And I think I'm going to take this one from here. And just get rid of the Sharpie parts because they really are horrible when they dig into you. I think I'm going to have this coming down here like this. It's just slightly shy of where I want it to be, but I think it'll be okay. Oh, I think I can maybe fit that other eye in there. What do you think, Mary? Maybe.
That's really nice, that stamp.
Yeah, it is. You got a clever daughter. Let's see if we can get this other eye. I think it's going to be too big, but it would be really just too good if it did fit in. Maybe it's just half of it. What do you think?
I think.
Hang on. I think I've got a better idea. Wait a minute. I can use the end of this one here. Let me have a look at this. Oh, I've cut it a bit big, but I don't think it'll matter. Let's just see how this looks. Oh. This is a lovely stamp. This is actually the first time I'm using it, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I've just been coveting it from a distance. Back to probably fit one more of these in here. Nearly made a whoopsie there, did you see me? I put it the wrong way round. Now, this is going to take me forever and a day probably to paint in. But I'm going to do stamp it, paint it, stamp it. So I'm going to paint it and then stamp it again. So that always speeds up the process a little bit and gives it a little bit more clarity as well. So I'm not worried about it. I think this is going to be quite unusual. Like that there. And you know that the flower is going to, the star is going to go in here like that. I wonder if we could get the star up in here. Kind of. Now, I think that I am pretty much going to leave that as is. I've got to go around there, obviously. What am I going to do down here? I think I might just carry this on down there. Yeah. Let's have a look at what we can do on this side. And then once I've done this side, you know what I'm going to be doing on this side. And then I'm going to paint some of this so that you know what I'm doing with the painting side of things. And then it's just a whole lot of repetition for me, unfortunately. Where's the nice one? I like this one. I've been desperate to use this one. Desperate. I'm wondering whether I shouldn't be the taro in the middle and then this coming down. Yeah, just to kind of make sure that it's got the nod on the front and the back. I think that's important. I think on the top, I'm just going to do that diamond one all over it. I think. Right, so let's try and position this semi-central. Oh, I'm scared to bump and make a mess of Jamie's cabinets. Right. Make sure I've got it all done. The thing about stamping, you think you've touched every single part and you think this is going to be perfect. You pull it off and you've missed a tiny little bit. It's usually like the nose of something. Perfect. Now, I think I'm going to try and be clever. Let's just see what I can do. I always pick the tricky ones, don't I? I don't know why I decide to always make it so difficult for myself. Just keeps me on my toes, that's all. I never think you should shy away from doing corners and edges. I just don't. Because you can just make that bit that isn't done up, so it looks like it's one cohesive stamp anyway. So that noise in the background is Terry snoring. I think that's it. Right, now, what am I going to put in here now? I can either go diagonally with this, or I can take the eye that was no good before, wherever I put it, and do... No, I think it needs something a bit more, don't you, Matty? Put this in here, and the eye in there. Yeah?
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
Or... not really enough room for that. Oh, I could do it that way around. No. Or I could just be really bold and just do this. Yeah. See, just takes a minute for your brain to work it all out. The possibilities, and then go, right, well, okay. And so with this side, what you would do is you would do the opposite. And then you would go... just bring it up to your line there. Yeah? I think you understand where this is going. I'm just gonna... I really thought this one was beautiful when Jamie and I started to decide what we were doing. I said, oh, this one here will stamp really lovely on furniture. And again. But I need to get the bottom of this one to fit in. Yeah, now, I am not going to keep showing you this because basically I'm going to cover, just need a little bit of this here. I'm going to cover the whole of this side with this shape, and the same with the other side. And on the bottom half, I want to start bringing in the sun that we have. But I'm going to get on and do this until the whole thing is stamped. We'll come back and talk about what I used, and then I'll set up my palette and we'll start painting it in before we go back and stamp it all again. Yeah? In a minute. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint the tile, each one of these tiles. So I'm going to do... this is Annie Sloan paint. All of the paint I'm using today is Annie Sloan paint, and this colour is called Emperor Silk. So I'm going to do this red, wash my brush, stick it there, and the next colour I'm going to be using is Old Ochre, and I am just going to go like this round the white of the eye. I could have done with a smaller brush. Let me keep that centre a bit below, so like that. And then with this other colour, I am going to do the edges, and I've got some ochre coloured acrylic that I am just taking out of this pot. It's this colour here, yellow ochre, and I use it a lot.
It looks like you might need a new one soon.
I've got quite a bit. It lasts for quite a while, Mary.
I've had it for a long time.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna yellow in these edges, kind of roughly around these edges, because that's the sort of darkest part of the stamp. So, you know, it's just to give it a sort of hint of that yellow. Yeah. And the middle bit, I am going to use furl. Just get some of that on my mat. Oh, I'm having to use my muscles here. Now a minute, it's maybe got a wee bit of a block. That's enough for demonstration purposes before I give myself a hernia. And put a little bit of water in this, and I'm just going to paint all this here with the green around the eyelashes and everything, because when we stamp over it again, all that will come back. I think I'm okay with leaving some bits with the blue, because what's the point otherwise? So just like that. Yeah, I'm going to do that with all of the tiles. All of the tiles are going to look like that before we come back and stamp them. Right, the rabbit. I quite like his kimono to be a sort of red, so I'm going to paint those in. So anywhere where I've done the rabbit stamp, this is what I'm going to do with it. Yeah. It's quite good if you get a bit of movement in your brush when you go stamping, because it will make it look like it's got a little bit of movement. The jagged cliff is on. I'm probably just going to leave. I'm going to do the rabbit this sort of golden colour. Why? Because I can. It kind of matches the rest of the cabinet. Again, because we're stamping over it, you don't need to worry. And these shapes down here, I'll go in here with the furrow. Now I will be finishing some of this off with sort of bronzy colour. Well, it's not a sort of bronzy colour, it's my new bronze colour called Bronze, and it looks like this, but we'll mix this up near the end. And I'm going to be doing round there and things with that colour, so don't worry too much about it. I want it to be really sort of mystical with the colours. Now, because I've got white in the tile, I can paint all of these wispy clouds in with the white. And as rough as you like, just as long as you keep in the lines. Because I used Tim Holtz ink, not StazOn, it's kind of discolouring that to a sort of beigey cream, but right with that. Now, this is the sort of part of the process where you really just have to kind of put an audiobook on, get comfy,
and keep painting. Because it is going to take a while. Now, I didn't actually stamp the top. I thought I'd leave that just now, but I stamped everywhere else. And you saw me do one side and the other side's been done as well. So we know that's all been done. And you're not really missing anything. The eye pupil, I've done a row of eyes up here, and it'll just be like, I'm jumping around here, but it'll be the same deal. We're keeping most of the eye blue. Might even not need to actually restamp these. That's the only thing that's going to be done to them. So we do those reasonably tidy. Make that quite interesting up the top. So they're going to look like this. Back to the wee dog. What colour will I do with the wee dog? I think I'll add a little bit of the ochre, a little bit of the red. If I can get a sandy coloured dog. Just mixing loads of colours now. And then a little bit of ochre into that. Yeah, that's making a sandy coloured dog. If your paint isn't running very nice, just add a little bit of water into it. I think I'll do the sort of making that bit. And lastly, I'll use the furrow to do this craggy cliff that he's about to jump off. Now, this will all look completely different when it's all been stamped over the top of again, but right now, I want some texture in that, so I don't want it just to look flat. So, and I think lastly, I'll put a little bit of down here, streamers. Right, you can imagine this. I'm going to be doing all of this like the tile. This shape on the middle of the sides is going to look like that. I'm going to flip it to its side and do one more shape so that you know what all the shapes are going to look like. So if I just do this for a minute, and we can work on this one here. And I think that I'm just keeping it the same palette. So how I'm going to deal with this, I think the best way to deal with it is start up here where I can see where I'm going. In and around there, kind of roughly. Going to be stamped over the top of anyway. You don't need to do any of this too perfectly, because when you know it's going to be stamped over the top of, you need to fill those bits in there with a sort of grey colour, so that or a watered down black, so that it looks like it's been stamped. But I need to do the second lot of stamping first. Just trying to look at sometimes when it's not stamped, you're just kind of guessing a little bit. Right. I won't do down there because I'll do that a different colour. Goldy sort of colour here, and just do more than the flowers width, because you want to keep a bit of this showing through, and when the black goes over the top of it, you're not going to get all of it. It's going to be more dark than yellow. So you do more than the flower's width, then you're going to get something that you're looking for. Do some of this down here, and there, and there's a sort of shape here we will do with the green. And I'm just doing all of that because the stamp will bring it all back out. And let's do the centre of this colour. Really, probably what I'm going to do with the whole stamp. You know, just keep it kind of loose like that, because when you stamp over the top of it, it'll look completely different. Yeah, so you know how I'm going to be doing that, because that's going to be red here, and I'm going to work my way down there. You know, you've already seen me do this. So I'm just going to lock in and get as much of this as I can done tonight, okay? Okay, so I've painted it all in, and I've got my tarot stamp here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing it over the top with paint. Now, the trick is when you're using paint is not to have too much paint on your roller. Probably would have been better if I'd had a bigger roller, but everything is still in storage. So, and this one is very squeaky as well. I think it needs some WD-40. Now, the trick is not to put too much paint on it. If you get too much paint, it ends up looking clunky, and you don't want clunky. But if you don't put enough on, it ends up muted and faded. So you're skirting a fine line of making sure you've got plenty of paint, but making sure you haven't put too much on. And I think the only way you ever get used to that is by practicing on boards, really. So you take your stamp, and this is where you kind of have to kind of pray at the stamp gods that you get this kind of light. And then making sure you go around your edges first so that they're crisp and clear. Holding it with one hand. Now, if you're new to stamping, I would suggest that you always anchor it with one hand and let the other hand do the work. I mean, I've seen people do all this, but I always think an anchor stops it moving around. It's a good way of doing it. Making sure that I'm pressing on all the details, like the wee face and everything, because these are important. They're the ones you want to stand out. And here we go. Let's see how this looks. There we go. When you use paint as opposed to ink, I always think it gives it quite an impression of sort of a lino print, which I think adds to its sort of stamp value. Right, let's look what these big ones will come out like. Not too much paint on the roller, making sure you've touched everything. Around and around we go with the squeaky roller. Right, okay. Where will I start? Probably up here. So I'm going around my edges first. I do the same thing every time I stamp. I do the edges first to make sure they're crisp. And then I do this sort of internal parts. Now, because there's a raised part here, I never make it simple for myself. You know, it'd be nice if it was just smooth, but it isn't. So I'm going to try our best to lock in on that if I can. Right, okay. So that's that one done. Now, there is an awful lot of repetition on this piece. An awful lot of repetition. I'm not going to make you watch every part of the repetition. I'm going to do one more of these and I'm going to turn it to the front because I jumped the gun because it's been a while since I've been doing all the other things for the release, and this was the longest one because it's the Sunday video that it was going to take to film. So it kind of got put in the boot of the camper and just travelled around the country with us, didn't it, Matty?
It did.
So now
For about, I don't know, 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Or maybe even 2 weeks. I don't know how many weeks, but it's been travelling around the country with us in the boot. But time has run out. Now we're working right now in what will be my new studio. This part hasn't been done yet, but it is the Made by Marley part, because it's the release. Actually, today, when you see this, it's today, but not in real life, because it'll be this Sunday. But I'm confusing the issue. But because of the new release, Matt needed an office. I needed somewhere to work, and we just had to get on with it. So that's where we're at right now. But this part of the building will be done at some point. Right. So that's how they look there. And if I do this, and turn it around, because this is what I mean. I got way too giddy. I thought, oh, I'll just do these. So with the little ones here, this little shape, it's the same thing. Not too much ink on paint on your brush, and I'm using Sloan's Athenian Black, and just pick it up. And twirl it around. It's got a wee bit chipped there, but I'm going to be chipping the whole thing at the end. So that's what happens when you travel with your furniture in the boot for a while. So that's that. That's those shapes there. I'll do the other one of this, and then it's right up to the top. It's just so you see all of it in sort of kind of in context, really. You're very quiet, Marty. Should I be concerned?
I've got a lot of things on my mind.
I know you have. Yeah. Right. That there. And the star was the little star on the top of here, this one here. So again, stamp it on a hard surface, because you make sure your ink is adhered. And then we're going over the top of the star shapes, like that. And that. And like that. Oh, and this little awkward one up here, of course. Now, this eye shape, you need to see a lot of these, because there's a lot of these. So let's just check I got it the right way up. I'll start off putting a little bit more ink onto my panels, onto my stamp, not my panels. I don't know where I got panels from there. I was looking at those and thinking I need to I missed them, and I'll show you what to do with those in a minute, so that because it's different when you use paint, you have to kind of make sure they don't dry. So let's just put this eye on first, with the eyelashes and the dot at the bottom. There we go. I think that should be good. So you can see what this is going to look like all the way around. I still have the rabbit to do, which you've just seen me do around there. Obviously, these parts here with the sun. Now, you didn't actually see me do the bottom part, and it's not actually finished, but it has been stamped. So I put the palmistry hand on either side here, and I painted it first. I put the sort of mystic sun in the middle, 2 eyes, and I've got the same that you've just seen me stamp out there along here. What I have done on this side is I've added red down here and here. I still have to do that on this side and this side. And I've done eyes across here. I've not done anything with the top yet. So I think probably what I'm going to do, because it's this exact same colour palette as you saw me use in the beginning, Emperor's Silk and some ochre acrylic, Furl green and the Athenian black for the stamping. And I made up a sort of kind of, just a little bit of a sort of orangey cream for the cat and the, is it a cat or is it dog? I think no, sorry, beg your pardon, it's a dog, Jamie. Sorry, it's a dog. Right, so that's all I think I'm going to show right now while I get away and stamp the rest of this in. I've still got this big, the big diamond shape, this one here, which I've half stamped at the back, and I've got that painting in to do. Now, if you've not got a bucket and you're using a paint, what you can do is, with your stamps, is just mist them with some paint, like that. And then just flip it over and just try and get some of that paint off it, because you don't want that drying in onto your paint. But again, you know, we're not quite ready to put it in a basin of water. It's only done one stamp, so, well, two. So just make sure you've misted it, and then you can just sit it misted on your tissue until you're ready to use it. Yeah? Because when you've got all this to do, you want to be able to have them to hand. So I'm going to get on, stamp all of this. It's stamping extravaganza. And then we will get to the top and all the details. I was wanting to put one of our new coppers or our bronze, our new copper or bronze in this. However, I did a live last night and I've mixed up some gold, so I don't want to waste it. So it's going to have gold on it. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it?
It is.
It is. Right, so I'll get on and I'll get this all, the back bit painted in and the rest, it's detailed stamping in black. Now, when you're doing things like this, you don't necessarily have to stamp over them in black. Black's what I'm using because it goes with the overall sort of theme that I'm trying to do. However, like with your palmistry hands, because they come out quite dark, if you did a dark colour first and then stamped with a skin tone over the hands, then you'd have it the opposite way around. You can use whatever colour you want. All I would say is just use tiny amounts on a roller at once. And you do still get a nice crisp. Not as crisp as stays on. It's never going to be like that. But I wanted mine to really pop with the dark, with the black. The black for me was going to be the thing that pulled it all together. And I think it will in the end once I get it all stamped. So I'll get on and do that now. Okay, when it gets to this stage, I'm just adding a little bit more of the Florence, which is this sort of turquoisey colour, to sharpen up my image, but also to give it that little bit of distress in the background, a little bit of movement. Really, that's all I'm doing. And I've done that anywhere where it's more blue, because remember I painted it with a mix of blue and greens and just mixed them all together. And so anywhere where it's like that, just, you know, I've just kind of added another colour, and it's another way of giving your piece a little bit of movement. So now in here, I've got the gold, the leftover gold. I would have really quite liked to use the copper, but never mind. We've got gold because that's what's left. So just going around here in the gold. Now I've done quite a lot of gold accents on the front, so I don't know what's wrong with me today. I've got really shaky hands, so try and balance it a little bit. If not, I'll just say it's well distressed. A bit like us. All right. I want to also kind of put some details around here in this frame. I'm also going to run it round some of these edges. like this. It's amazing what stamping can do. And I picked paint over Stays On because I wanted that sort of almost lino print stamped, it more of a sort of hand painting. I wasn't looking for, well, I was looking for what I've got. So how would I explain it? I'm looking for details, but not precision, because I wanted to look like it was worn, hand painted. And I think that when you use paint, that gives it more of that sort of look, as opposed to when you stamp it, it's a little bit perfect. Sometimes, well, it depends how you're stamping. I wouldn't say mine is always perfect. Right, I'm just gonna do a bit of a gold band up here in a sort of distressed way, because there's quite a bit of gold featuring on the front, which I'm going to turn around and show you in a minute. Just under there. I'm only doing that up there because that's where it's difficult to get the stenciling. You can see I've done these gold triangles. Those gold triangles are going to have this stamp here on. Once the gold's dry, it's going to be done over with black. I took a white Posca and I just here and there did some white and just kind of cheered it up a little bit, gave it a little bit of, like depth. Just a little bits here and there. Put a little highlight in his eye. And I put a wee highlight in the dog's eye. And really, this is however much or however little you want, really, this part. Right, now let's just talk about what happened on the front. Now, the bottom still hasn't really proceeded much more than the last time you saw it. I still have to go, these were just drying, they're still not dry, for those shapes to be stamped at the front, but I've done the turquoise to move it, to give it some movement. So the front, what has happened? Oh, on the front, I did all of the stamping that I said I was going to do, and I ran the gold in and around here and around the frame like that. I then put the gold in between there. Why? Because I could. But what I'm also going to do now with the gold is I'm going to just sort of put a bit of a suggestion that there's a bit of gold here. It could have been worn. It maybe was already like this. Now, these chips that I've got here, I actually want to pronounce these chips in a minute. Well, at the end, I want to kind of sand off the edges because it will chip with all the coats of paint that's already underneath this. So this should end up looking quite distressed. I put the gold in there and just kind of made it look a bit distressed. Are we up to speed? I think we are. I'm just kind of roughly putting some of this gold in. I painted around here, this little patch here, because I thought it looked quite cute. And I'm just going to rub over the details because I painted the lock black, but I thought I'll rub over the details in a minute. And maybe some gold. I haven't stamped these eyes, but maybe a little bit of. And I did the red legs on well, you saw that because I put the gold on it for the stamping. And that's us all up to speed. I'm going to finish off that stamping at the bottom, and then I'm going to work out what I would like to do with the top. I've painted these two top edges red. I don't know whether I'll come along and maybe put just a gold line on the bottom of that, possibly. But we're getting closer to finishing. I said to Jamie there wasn't that much to finish this off, but now I've been sitting in front of it for hours, I'm thinking, you know what, there actually was quite a lot to finish off. So everything's up to speed. I'm going to finish that back bit, and then we're going to decide what's going to happen on the top, and then we'll start doing the top in a minute. Okay, what I did was I got my DAS clay bin and drew a rough circle I'm going to write Fate and Fortune on here. I'm doing it kind of the wrong way around, so I'm not worried about these pencil lines because I'm going to be putting more of the turquoise colour on it before. I think I'm going to be putting the sun head in the middle of here, and I'm not sure about a border yet. So I'm just showing you T, I need a T, here we are, how I'm stenciling it. This would have been one of our stencils, but there was a problem with it, so but I just thought I would use it because I can. I can use this part of it. Now I'm looking like I'm doing this all back to front, but I want to make sure that my spacing's kind of good. And we all know, well, we know, don't we, Matty? That and my spelling. It's normally my spelling. It was just to kind of keep, I didn't want you to come back going, oh, when did she do that? So, this is the way I decided to do it so that it kind of all, now my sun's gonna be stamped in there, and let me just stamp that in for you so you can see how that looks right now. I'm popping that down there. I'm using a lot of different things right now because my initial stamp was with ink, it wasn't with paint. So let me just get, and because my other stamps have had paint on them, I'm just going to use a new one for here. So I shouldn't be stamping this on here. However, I'm not too bothered about stamping on here right now because it's going to be painted. It's just to give me an idea of sort of positioning. Around the edges first. Using the soft plastic as you go. Making sure that you get the details in. Now we're going to be painting over this, so it doesn't matter if it's not perfect on your first go. It's your second stamp that you want it to be on fleek, shall we say. Right. Okie dokie. Now, as for edges, I haven't really thought ahead yet on what I'd like to do in the edges. I don't want it too busy up the top because if you want to put books or a lamp or something, you don't want too much on it. So I might just, I need to put where I'm going to work out where I'm going to put the and. I want an and sign, maybe Fate, Fortune that I don't need. Oh, it's okay. You just bumped me on the head, Ammo. It's fine. That's fine. I might use one of my other stamps on here. I'm just trying to ponder what I'm looking for. I think maybe, I like the flower on here, but I like it's mostly the shape. I'm wondering whether this had paint on it a minute ago. I shouldn't really be doing this, but it's just to show you sort of the concept. Well, the concept before I threw it all about. I'm going to put these on the corners, I think, if this stamps, because there was paint on it. The answer to that is no.
Not got another one. Not got another one.
I do, but I've used two of them, unfortunately, already. How wasteful of me. I've got two on the go. It was to save me having to clip. It's getting later and later here in Scotland, and I said to Jamie, it's not that much to do in this. Yeah, right. So you get an idea. This is going to be in all the corners. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start adding the turquoise on in the background, paint the sun in, and then we'll come back. We'll restamp this. These will be done and painted in like I did the rest of them. And we're inching closer to finishing. But at the end, I want to kind of sand some bits off to reveal some of the white, make it look a little bit more distressed. I still have to go over these eyes. These eyes have to be gone over with paint. So, yeah, that's where I'm at so far, okay? Okay, so the parts that you saw me do yesterday, I'm just stamping these in now. Same deal, not too much paint. I've put a lot of gold details on because I thought, well, you understand what I've done, some dots. I've done things like that, which has made a bit of a mess, but I'm still not finished with this undercoat yet. So the final sort of deal. So I thought I'll get all my stamping and messy parts out of the way first before I go any further. Right, I'm just going to sit that one here for a minute while I grab these ones. So, the moon. It's always a bit of a kind of faff stenciling on top of, you know, something like this, especially when my, you know, I'm kind of temporary in my studio and I don't have lots of things to put things on while I stamp. So I wouldn't really sort of advocate that you roll things on top of your piece, but it is what it is right now.
Come here, move it.
No, I just want to. No, it's fine. Fine. If not, my paint will dry up. It doesn't. Paint doesn't have a very long playtime. Not if the room's reasonably warm and you're using chalk paint. Make sure I'm giving that a good pat down, especially on the details of the face. There we go. Now, that's that one. Now, these little parts here are, I use loads of different parts here. So let's just do this one first. The first one is here, I think. And I just used pieces and parts, and I thought, well, if I go over a little bit with my black paint, I'm going to be changing, sorting the background. So I thought, well, I'll just be quite bold and just go for it and try and get a sort of kind of frame round the words. That was my thinking. And I just took pieces and parts for other parts of it. Just remembering where I've been. Martin's been cleaning, haven't you, Mary?
I have.
Cleaning his office. Because everything is really dirty, isn't it, Mary? I think there's nobody been in here for 7 years.
No, exactly. Bringing it back to life, aren't we?
Well, temporarily, because this part still has to be done, but yeah. I don't think I managed to hit home there on that one, but never mind. I'm going to try and tidy this all up. It looks a little tad messy. Okay, where am I going with this? Because this is right out of whack. I'll do that. Oh dear, that is not good. Never mind. Forging on. So you understand I'm doing this. I've got the background to fix. I've got in and around the letters to deal with. I've got this stamping to do on the other side. And I've got the tidying up. I'm just seeing that you're not missing anything. I don't think you are. Marty, can you just show them a quick look at the front? The front eye. Oh gosh, I shouldn't really be on my knee, but the front I used pen and did these circle details here and put these stripes along there. I've wrote fortune and fate down here in pen, and I've just done some borders. It's just the same kind of borders I usually do, something, you know, that pulls it all together. Now, I really need to work on the top and tidy it all up. And I know I keep jumping quite large parts of this video, but it is quite complicated, and it's just complicated but repetitive. So it's just the same sort of things, and I don't want to be too boring. So I'll get on and tidy up the top, and then after that, to be honest with you, we'll be on to staging. And can I just give a wee recommendation? I wasn't going to buy these the other day, but Martin talked me into it. They're Sharpie acrylic pens, and they're actually very nice to use. I'll show you the nib so you see it. Yeah. Why am I liking them? You're not having to do the shake and poke down. They're already. How long will last? I don't know.
We'll report
back. But I'm quite impressed so far. The reason why I know this is because if you're part of our channel member group, this is what I'm working on at the moment. It's going to be the sequin chest that I'm doing. So it was a stamped piece, and I did the octopus, and this is what we're doing in our private group. So I was using some of these pens to put some little bits of highlights around the octopus's tentacles, and I think they're really quite good. So yeah, there's a recommendation. See with the kind of things you can do with stamps, it's amazing.
Oh, I'm sorry about this sunlight.
Oh, I know.
I will fix that.
It's temporary. We'll have a curtain or something across the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I'll get on and finish off and tidy all up the top so it looks as nice as all the sides and everything. And then staging. Now, all my staging stuff is in storage, so what I'll come up with to stage this is anybody's guess, but we'll see what I can do. Okay, I came back one last time just to show you. I forgot to say, now this step is completely optional, but I just knew I had the white underneath it and I knew it was going to chip. So I think I want to put some chips into it. So if you can see here, I'm just using the edge of this metal ruler, to be honest with you, and it's chipping quite nicely. Now you don't need to go crazy at this point. Just a little bit here and there. I mean, I think I've done some on the sides, but not much. Just a couple of chips to make it look like it's been around for a while and it's got a bit bashed. I mean, probably wouldn't chip there. Some down here. If you feel it's going to be too harsh, sand people probably do it. I like that when it's revealed the dark wood under here, so let's see if I can try it. See, it's going to make it lighter. Don't really want that, if I'm honest. So I'm going to do little parts of this just here and there, just to kind of give it a sort of cheeky look, like it's had a few bashes along the way, which I think is okay. And I've decided I'm going to wax it. I am not going to seal it with top coat. I'm going to wax this because I think waxing will bring out all some more nicer details. So I'm going to get on, do this, then I'll get to waxing, and then we'll get to the reveal. Okay? Okay, what did we do with this? Well, basically the whole project is a stamp it, paint it, stamp it project. Stamp your stamp, paint your details, stamp over the top of it. It's simple to do. It's just that there's quite a lot of bits in this that you maybe missed, like borders and different things, only because it's quite intense and it's quite time consuming, even with something this small. So I would, before you start, think, how much time am I willing to dedicate to this? Because this has had quite a lot of time spent on it, but it is worth it. I mean, I think it's so cute. It's unusual. It's different. And I think this will go on Etsy, and I think it'll be popular on there. So what colours did I use? Annie Sloan's Emperor Silk, Florence, Old Ochre. I mixed at the very beginning with some Giverny and some Florence and just kind of smudged it all about until I got the look I was looking for. I stamped it all, chippied up the edges. It's been waxed. It's ready to go. I used a lot of Wells Lusters, and I used Goldilocks, and it's not one of our new ones, which is Bronze Age or proper copper. It's just that I had this already mixed up and I just didn't want to waste it. So
Probably a missed opportunity for market in there, but hey, oh, do you know what I mean? The gold's luscious as well. So if you've enjoyed this video, continue watching for the rest of the week because it's Made by Marley on the Road week, and you'll see me doing lots of little crafty parts and bits and pieces up until Friday. So if you've enjoyed this video, give us a like, give us a share, give us a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe. And if you've got any hypes, hype me. And Martin, what are you thinking about this?
I love that new stamp. I think it's awesome. I genuinely, you know, like
yeah, it's nice.
You and Jamie, what you two can do together is mind blowing.
I really do think it's not like anything I've ever used before, and I love that feeling because I know it's mine. Anyway, that's it then. Do you like the piece of furniture though, Alan?
Yes.
Yes, he does. Oh well, we're on to it.
Yes. Yes, good. I do.
So we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you.